What's up, guys and gals? It's your host with the most, Griever, as always, bringing you guys the latest chapter, the newest chapter for the brand new series known as the Hunters Guild Red Hood Chapter 2. Drop today on Viz.com. Definitely give the first chapter a read if you guys have not already, because I think that this manga hit the ground goddamn running in Chapter 1, and Chapter 2, honestly, went completely unexpected for me. But I liked it. I really did. So let's just dive right in, because at the end of the last chapter, of course, and we get a little, almost like a prelude sort of idea, like a recap from the first chapter explaining about werewolves. It's the same basic information that we got in the first chapter, but here we're getting it again just to refresh our memories, just to say, okay, this is what werewolves are, this is what's going on. And we leave off at the very beginning. I thought we might take a quick time jump or something like that. Like, here's the introduction, here's our main character, and here's 3 years later, after he's joined the Hunters Guild and become a part of the Red Hood and all this stuff, right? So, instead, though, we're still staying in the present storyline, and here's our main character, Vilo, being asked, do you want to become a hunter? And then we get the information about the werewolves and all that stuff once again, and honestly, this is where I thought, as I said, I thought there'd be a time jump, but she basically says, come with me. The guild has planned to eliminate all werewolves, just like I told you about the dragons. Like, one day, like, you think dragons are a myth? They weren't. But 500 years ago, the Hunters Guild eliminated the last one. So now dragons never plague anybody again. Now, Vilo actually asks some honest questions here, and I kind of like this. I found it unexpected, but I already sort of like him as an MC because he's looking at it logically first and foremost, right? So, like, she's promoting, hey, Vilo, you should join us, to eliminate all werewolves and stuff like that. And he thinks about it. He's thinking, the what happened to the mayor and my family and things like that. If I could help eliminate all werewolves, then that type of tragedy would never happen anywhere ever again. But then he says, no, I'm not going to go with you. And it's like, even though he realizes it, and I was like, okay, what's going to be his reasoning? That he's got to protect the village or something like that? And that's one of them. But I do like his first reason. This is what I liked about the first chapter. The logic, the philosophies, like diving right in head first. I really enjoyed that because here, at the very beginning, Vilo basically says, listen, there's too many concerns about that, right? Like, you want me to be involved in this secret plan. But the thing is that you told me, and we found this out, werewolves are normal people once, right? And we don't know, as that's why they sort of brought up the same knowledge again. Is it from a witch's hex? Is it a curse? Is it just the the evolution of humans? We have no idea why one day humans slowly start to crave human flesh, and once they eat it, they end up getting the form of a werewolf and stuff. We don't know how they're created yet, and I like that they're doing different from like the bite of a werewolf thing, which maybe that is the case. That might be relevant later, but the knowledge that we are given, that we can assume is what the Hunters Guild and what people mostly know about werewolves, is that this is what they are. They're shapeshifters, humans that one day we don't know what triggers it. We have no idea. And as Vilo points out, they're normal people, and whatever plan that your guild has, as long as humans exist, from what we understand of werewolves, that means werewolves will exist. So you can't end them, regardless what plan you have, unless you have some better information and stuff, right? Now, she says, I can't give you that information unless you agree to join, and I can't tell you anything about it yet, but like there is stuff that you don't know sort of idea. And I was just like, still, Vilo asked a very fundamentally good question. He's just learned about this, and already he's stored it in his brain and went, yeah, what about this? What about that? What about this contingency? What about that contingency? I really just like the logic here, He says, like, even if I go to help you, werewolves cannot be fully eliminated because werewolves come from humans. So you'd have to kill all the humans to get rid of all the werewolves by that logic, right? So very, very interesting way of putting this. As I said, I did not expect this. And then we get the classic, we get the MC stuff, which is very classic shonen MC, and I don't mind that, which is basically like, the hamlet is my home, it's where I feel safe. These are the people I like. They just gave up all their money. The mayor gave up all his money to hire you once. If you leave, once you leave, there's nobody else to defend this place. The hamlet will not be safe and stuff, and I'm the only one who is left sort of idea. I can't abandon my home and the people that took me in when my parents died. I need to stay here. Very classic MC stuff, right? So he claims he's going to take up the mayor's mantle and he's going to keep the place safe. So, all right, this is the cool. And then he, once again, this is why I like the fundamental stuff. So we go through something like, kid's got a brain. I like that. Number 2, classic MC trope, right? You know, he's got to be the protector, the defender. That's what we want in an MC in shonen. And then number 3, asking the real questions here. Oh, how the hell did you change into an adult, by the way? And stuff. So you're as suspicious as the werewolves, as he points out. Now, this is where she goes down the list and goes, all right, the hamlet being safe and your distrust of me, right? Those are the 2 issues that are standing. Those are your concerns that are standing in your way from joining and becoming one of the hunters. So clearly she wants him as an apprentice or whatever, and says, all right, so what you're telling me is, this is why I love the logic thing going on here. I love because this is not normal standard shonen adventure dialogue. This is just a little unique. I really like it. Not that it hasn't been in other mangas, guys. It's just they're hitting the ground running. They're not simplifying anything like right off the bat. They're giving us the information, saying, "Here you go. Let's do this." And she says, "All right. So your 2 problems is you're distrusting me. So what you're saying is, if I can guarantee your home, the hamlet's safety, and I can win your trust, then there's nothing tying you here, and you'll leave, right?" And it's like, you know, and Vila's like, well, I guess, but what are you going to do? And she's like, all right, we're going to go to work. Let's do this, right? And then she asks about the axe again, which we know there's something special about the mayor's axe. Maybe that's why he was able to kill the werewolf back in the day. Who knows? That axe must have something important to it. We don't know. She seems to know something about it, but he's going to hold on to it for now. Now, this is where we meet 2 new werewolves, and I like their designs. Once again, the designs of these werewolves are very unique. Like, one of them almost looks like a cross, but like has like bird-like feet and stuff, and it's just, I like monster designs. This is why Toriko was so cool, because the designs were so vast and so unique, and it just took anything traditional and sort of went, yeah, it's traditional, but let's shake the can a little bit. Let's just shake it up a bit, right? So we get these 2 new werewolves, Dodu and Narnario. I don't know how to say that name, but anyways, the point is that very different personalities and stuff, and we see that apparently they know of the granny werewolf being killed, right? So she died in the last chapter and stuff, and now these wolves were sort of waiting in the wings sort of ideas, right? Now one of them seems to be more of a childlike crybaby, just like, oh, I don't know what to do, big brother. I don't know what to do without granny. Sort of that personality. Then we have the cunning, the deceptive werewolf, the one who thinks he's smarter than everyone and just is greedy and he wants everything for himself. So the personalities are set in the first panel. We can already automatically tell very, very quickly. Now, this is where the werewolves say that she was not in fighting shape anymore. That would mean that these werewolves are likely stronger, but I don't really know if that's realistically the case. We're seeing these very weird limbs off of Nara here, and they're just completely like grotesque and stuff. He's crying his eyes out over the granny being killed and stuff, but it's basically where he says, well, Dodu says, it's time for the younger generation, for us to take over. Look at them down there at that hamlet. Let's strike. Let's take the hamlet. All of them for ourselves sort of idea. It's the perfect opportunity for us. That they're completely off guard. They think the werewolf is gone. They'll never assume that there was another werewolf, or 2 more werewolves waiting in the wings, waiting on the border sort of idea. And we get an explanation for this a little later, where it's explained that they sort of use the actual, almost wolf-like, their behaviors and stuff like that, and it almost reminds me of scavenger, like hyena, coyote a little bit here, but I guess it's a wolf pattern too, is that wolves, or in this case, werewolves do not, it'd be too difficult, you don't want to fight with another werewolf, right? So once a territory has been claimed by one werewolf, you sort of just move on. You don't try to fight for territory. Apparently, that seems to be the case with werewolves, which reminded me more of a scavenger sort of mentality, like a coyote, a hyena sort of way. They don't like fair fights. They want easy food. They want easy food. They don't want to have to fight for it. So if a place has already been claimed, like apparently by the granny werewolf, that was already claimed. So these two werewolves, they just don't, like, they didn't want to have to fight her, apparently. And so, nope, it's like, well, we might move on. Now, clearly they didn't move on. Granny died for whatever reason. Well, they know that Granny was killed. And now they're like, ha ha ha, this is the perfect opportunity for us to attack. Of course, this is all the greedy one, Dodu. He's all greedy and he just wants to attack, and he just wants the food, the meat, all that stuff. So he assumes it's the perfect opportunity to attack and says, like, we can have it all for ourselves, brother. Like, he calls him brother and stuff. And he says, that's right. You figured it out all on your own. We're going to go with the usual plan. We're going to have some yummy meat. If you can kill a hunter or two while you're at it, that'd be fantastic. So they don't seem too worried about hunters. Maybe these two are powerful and have killed hunters before. Or maybe the one we've been introduced to is just exceptional. We don't know yet exactly, right? So Dodu says basically, your best point is that you might be a dumbass, but you are strong. So you got me and my smarts to back you up and everything. We're an invincible pair. We're going to feast tonight and eat all the humans. We're going to eat all the meat. It's going to be glorious sort of idea. And he's actually also thinking ahead, thinking if we can rack up 20 to 50 humans, that would be enough to get us through the winter as well. So they're sort of doing like the squirrel thing, the hibernation thing, like let's collect our nuts sort of idea, right? Now the rest of the chapter showcases the actual attack. A werewolf comes down, and of course it's Naru, and he's just like crazed and like, once again, the monster designs, very grotesque, very creepy, very gross, and very like, whoa, okay. So of course the watchtower guy notices right away, and he's knocking on the bell, and he's going, werewolf attack, werewolf attack, werewolf attack, right? So everyone goes to the meeting house, right? Now this is where Dodu has, of course, snuck in his human form, looking surprisingly reminding me of something like a cross between like the Joker or Arlong from, One Piece. But either way, they all gathered in the meeting house, in a shelter and stuff. And he realizes, so he's not a stupid werewolf, in fact, because he says, if a werewolf starts going crazy in town, people always gather together in the strongest shelter for safekeeping. They all try to get together so they can all account for everybody and stuff. They all hide in the same spot. It's just so easy, right? Now, this is where he says that he's just a distraction like his brother. I'm the real deal. Whether they're true brothers or not, or maybe it's like, you're a brother because we're both werewolves and we work together, and that's what they call each other. Whether they're actual brothers or not, we don't know. But either way, he's got a mind to completely take all of it for himself. He'll even kill him off. So he's got an idea to take like a lot of the meat for himself, it appears. So yeah. He's planning on, even if hunters are in the vicinity and show up, they'll deal with him or his brother and not him, and he'll be totally safe. So that's the idea. Now, this is where he's, hiding amongst them sort of idea. He's hiding in the shelter. What his plan was going forward, like when was he going to strike? Was he going to wait? Like what was he going to do? Was he going to wait until they thought everybody was safe sort of idea? And then was he going to attack the whole thing after... I don't really know what the rest of his plan was exactly, but this is where the guy who's just banging away in the bell tower and basically going like warning everyone that everyone's safe and stuff. He's like he just keeps banging away, and at the end of the day, it's like, holy shit, he's gonna be attacked. Oh God, and he's like, and he's afraid for his life. Of course he is. You would be too. We all would be afraid. But this man, he's just like, no, I'm at this Hamlet's lookout. I can't stop ringing. I must continue hitting the bell no matter what. Like, he's like, I have to run. He's like afraid because the werewolf has spotted him. But he's just like, no, I got to keep ringing the bell. And of course, our huntress shows up. The badass herself shows up. Can I borrow this bell? Thanks. And he's like, yeah, it weighs a good amount. And then slam, completely desecrates the werewolf. And it's seemingly like, I think I see his eyeball coming loose there, good and weighty. So she completely like she goes at it. I don't think she threw it. She seems to like hold on to it with her arm, and she uses it like a goddamn maul and just brings down the weight atop the werewolf. So we can assume that that was enough to, I guess, to kill the werewolf, completely like bludgeoned to death, I guess. Like crazy that, I mean, we don't know for certain, but either way. So this is where we see Vilu. He is actually in the shelter, and Dodu gets worried, right? He's like, whoa, how? He assumes he's a hunter. He sees the gun and stuff. He says, what's he doing in here and stuff? He's like, yeah, he can't know. He can't know it's me, though. There's no way for him to sniff me out, sort of idea. And at first, I came up with this idea, and this is sort of a classic thing, too. I've seen this done before, and it's fine. I don't mind it here, is where he's like, he'll never be able to pick me out from this crowd. It'll be totally fine. I just got to keep my wits about me until he goes away. And then, I got you, right in the back of the head. He's like, I found you with the big shotgun. And he's like, what are you doing, kid? And so this is where he explains, we get all the territory stuff that I already talked about, that she already sensed that 2 werewolves were watching and stuff, and said, like, we know that they're still in the vicinity and stuff, that wolves are territorial creatures. The village becomes their territory, so it was the grannies, etc. And I've already talked about this stuff. So we go into that whole explanation. So she tells him, Vilu, you should be able to figure it out. You should be able to figure out which one is going to be the deceptor. So clearly she is and we got this information, I don't think I mentioned this, alongside all the information about the werewolves, in the Hunters Guild, there are apparently specializations. She might be an all-rounder, we don't know exactly, but they say that certain hunters are actually like equipped and properly trained to fight only werewolves. There's like a werewolf elimination unit, and that's their exact job. They hunt werewolves. They don't hunt everything else. They only hunt werewolves. So whether she's one, we can assume that. We don't know that yet, but either way, Vilu's reaction is, I sort of saw this coming, and I imagine everybody else did, is where, you know, I was raised by this hamlet, and it's not a very big village. I know the face of every single person in here because they all cared about me, and they all treated me like family. I don't recognize your face. You're the werewolf. And I was like, sort of saw it coming. Don't mind that it did, because we know that the village is incredibly small. We know it's quite small. I doubt there's even 50 people there. Like, Jojo was like, ooh, I can maybe get to 20, 30, even 50, humans. It's like, I don't think the village was that big. So it makes sense that Vilu, being raised here his whole life, and the mayor took him in and stuff, that he would know the faces of everybody. And we sort of saw that in the first chapter. So he says, we don't need any more werewolves around here. We're going to hunt them all and protect the hamlet. That's the end of the chapter. We can assume that the first one has been at least knocked out or bludgeoned to death. It appears in the last panel that the first one was taken out, maybe not killed yet, I don't know, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens here with Dodu, and if Vilu is she going to show up and basically like, you have to be the one to pull the trigger, like he's a werewolf and stuff, and he's going to hesitate because he looks like a human right now. He doesn't look like a monster, so he's going to hesitate, and that's going to give an opportunity or something. I can see that too. We've seen that before. But either way, I think that's the end of the chapter, guys. And I think chapter 2 was handled incredibly well. There's actually, even though it was only about 25, 26 pages, I found that there was a lot to talk about here. As you guys can probably tell from the runtime, this is probably going to be a 30-minute review or something. But I feel like I've been talking about this for a long time. But I could almost go through this in a reaction style, page by page, panel by panel, line by line. Because there's just a lot of information. Of course, in a brand new series, you're always going to have that. You're always going to have a brand new series needs to give us a lot of information early on so we can understand the fundamentals about the characters, what their development is, what their goal is, their personality, etc., their philosophies, which we've already gotten. But then we also need the background on the world. We need world building right off the bat as well. And to balance those two sometimes is very difficult, and sometimes things take a back seat. I find that so far in these first 2 chapters, that's not the case at all. I think it's a perfect balance of world building. We're learning more about the world, and we're learning more about our characters here. So either way, I think that this is a very good start for a great manga. I'm hoping that this manga does extremely well. I really like chapter 2. What did you guys think of it? This has been Griever with the Hunters Guild Red Hood chapter 2. Probably my second favorite chapter of the week. Yeah, it was just a really goddamn good chapter. So I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to drink responsibly as always. And we will definitely see you back here when chapter 3 drops next week. I'm excited for it. Hope you guys are too. We'll see you back here next time, guys. Peace out.